All right, welcome, welcome. We are going to get going. So first, I want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of what to expect during these 7 steps. And for you guys live here that are joining in, I really want to make this interactive and engaging for you. So that's why I'm going to open up at the end time for questions. And if you guys need guidance and support in between these live sessions, I'm here for you. Send me a message or an email and I'll get to you as soon as I can, provide you whatever support that I am able. This is designed to be holistic, which means supporting you mentally, physically, and emotionally during busy seasons of life or just everyday life. What I have in this program, this restorative process, if you will, is a lot of really practical everyday strategies and tools that you can implement. You might not use all of them, and that's okay. You're going to customize it to what your life looks like, the time that you're able to commit to your holistic wellness, and what just fits you, what works for you. So as you guys are going to be filling this little PDF out, I sent this to you. If you can't find it, please let me know, and I can make sure you get that. And if you don't have it printed, it's okay. You can just jot down on a notebook and then do it later or something if you want. I encourage you to actually use a pencil, because sometimes we have to try things and then see what works and then shift a little bit and adjust and adapt, because not everything works exactly the way that we think or maybe expect. And that's okay. That's part of life. So we'll go through that in a little bit. First, I want to make sure you guys have a clear picture of what to expect with these 7 sessions. We will meet, we have this scheduled on Monday evenings. We will have, today is the first introductory, and then next Monday, we are going to have a little bit of a break for the holidays. So I will communicate with you guys what that's going to look like in our next live session, because obviously, week of Christmas and New Year's is a little tricky because I know a lot of people are traveling and everything. So we'll get to that at the end, and I'll update you guys on what to expect with all of that. I like to spread this process out and not have it back to back to back to back, the 7 sessions, because most people need a little bit of time in between to start practicing the strategies and implementing the strategies into your daily routine. How long does it take to develop new habits, to shift our habits and our patterns? It takes a little time. So I think actually it's a great timing to have a little bit of a breather in there for these holidays coming up, and pause a little bit on the live sessions, but actually practice implementing some of these tools. And then we'll kind of spread out. So usually it's about 14 weeks spread out, and about every other Monday evening. So I will send you guys a schedule after this first one, after I get a chance to communicate with you guys at the end. That way everyone knows exactly what we're doing and what's going on. So our first session, we will just do an overview. I'm going to give you guys some general information, some stress management, and we're going to start putting your guys' holistic plan together. And then the second session, we're going to go over kind of how to know or how to be aware of the areas that you want to work on, kind of narrowing down to your top 2 or 3 areas that you want to work on right now and prioritizing that. And then reviewing what strategies are going to be helpful in those top few areas. So it's a little bit customized. So I'll be talking with you guys on what your top things are and get you that information. Okay, so that's the first 2 sessions. And then the third session, we're really going to dive a lot into mindset and shifting our mental patterns, which connects to a lot of other things. That's the whole point of this holistic program, is that it ties together our mental, physical, and emotional. So as we discuss mindset shifts, it's going to include things like lots of stress management. It's going to include things like, how does our mental patterns, our mindset patterns and things affect us physically and emotionally, and what things can we do to shift that in a healthier direction and manage the mental piece of our well-being as much as we can. So we'll get to that in session 3. And then session 4, we're going to focus more on physical well-being. So I'm going to go through things like deep breathing and the physiology of that, the biology of how that supports our body, and ways that we can use that on a regular basis to help us with stress and life and all the things of focus and mental clarity and things like that. We're going to look at some stretching, just different ways of implementing movement in ways that aren't too overwhelming. I'm not going to tell you to go to gym for like hours every day. That's not something I highly recommend to most people. If that's something you love to do, great, fantastic. That's wonderful. But I don't know if that's necessarily for everyone. So we'll go through physical well-being. I'm going to talk about a few different areas and how that physical well-being impacts our mental and emotional well-being. So we'll get to that in 4. In session 5, we're going to focus on emotional and spiritual well-being. We are going to dive deeper into how our emotions and our spiritual, our soul well-being. I am a faith-based person, so I'll probably bring in scriptures and things like that, ways of implementing prayer and a biblical foundation and stuff. And if that's not for you, you can kind of take it with a grain of salt. That's your personal preference. And then we're going to talk about how that impacts, how the emotional and spiritual aspect impacts mental, emotional, and mental and physical aspects of our everyday function and well-being. And what does that look like on a everyday like habit picture? How do we implement those strategies for emotional, spiritual well-being so that we can function better every day? So we'll talk about some practical strategies. Then session 6, we're going to hone in on managing inflammation in the body. And that goes for in the brain, in the body, in joints, muscles, in the gut. We're going to talk about gut health a little bit as well. We're going to dive into how to make sure our body is getting the right types of nutrients we need for brain health, for gut health, for managing inflammation and pain and things like that. I have specific certifications for holistic nutrition for things like ADHD, the neurological system, dementia, and things like that. Making sure we're keeping happy hormones and balanced hormones in the body. That is very closely tied to our nutrition and our gut health. So we're going to go over all of that. And then our 7th session, we are going to make sure that everyone is on really, I'm going to kind of do like an overview of the strategies. And then we're going to kind of go through if anybody has any questions, make sure everyone has a good handle on the strategies and tools that they are implementing into your everyday life, and that you've been able to shift those habits. And if you need further support, I am able to open up an additional session if everyone is wanting that. If not, we can, wrap it up, and any final questions and support you guys need, then I'll be there for you. If you need it, you can send me a message, or I can also set up like more individualized one-on-one sessions to dig a little deeper into, individual things that you guys have going on. Okay. Any questions so far? Let me know. If you guys want to, you can put it in the chat or save it till the end. That's fine as well. Okay. And if you missed the first couple, just like say me or something in the chat. I'll make sure I get you I have a visual that I created that lists out all of the 7 sessions. So if you want that, then you can let me know. Okay. So today I want to make sure, because this is a busy season of the year for many people, and there's a lot going on. Many people are also dealing with different types of stress, whether that be a lot going on with work, a lot going on with family, or the time of year when there's a lot going on emotionally because maybe we are missing loved ones or different things like that. So I want to go through some strategies that are really, really helpful and practical. So we're going to go through the first part of the PDF guide, which looks something like this. I wrote on this version of it, but it's the first page of it. You'll see it there in the guide. If you missed the beginning, I did add in the chat the link for the PDF guide because I realized there was a glitch in the email that I sent. So hopefully you guys all have it. If you need help finding it, reach out and I'll make sure you get it before we do our next one. Okay. You do not have to take notes. I also want to make sure everyone knows, if you're someone that absolutely doesn't like doing that, that's completely fine. It's up to you. Some people love doing that, some people don't. I don't want you to feel stressed. So the main idea is that you're going to just kind of take a breather. And if you just need to listen while you're doing other things, I know some people are mamas that you have kids. If you're taking care of your kids, that's fine. It's completely your preference, and that's totally okay. So for the first part here, I want you guys to just think about, or if you are taking notes, you can jot down, what do you see right now as your sort of vision of where you want to go with your health and your well-being? And sometimes that's more practical, just like, I just want to feel better, or I just want to sleep better, or I just want to not wake up and be sore everywhere, or something like that. And so that might be kind of where you're at. Also, for some, you might be thinking kind of on a bigger scale and also be thinking about, who do you want to be? What part of your journey are you on in figuring out maybe your purpose, your larger overarching vision? Are you working on developing your gifts and talents and abilities in certain areas? Or, where are you going in your life, kind of? And some people, your vision and your purpose that you might be kind of focusing on maybe more internal, and you're working on things in sort of your mind and your heart. You're working on your mindset. You're working on healing mentally, emotionally, or physically, right? So, you can think about that. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but just kind of jot something down that you want to be sort of the direction that you're moving as you're going through this restorative process. One of the things that I'm very, very passionate about is coming alongside you in your journey of finding healing physically, mentally, and emotionally. If some of you who are tuning in might not know me personally, a lot of you I have seen as in-person clients, whether you've come to one of my restorative yoga sessions, or seen me for a therapeutic massage, or maybe one of my orthopedic or holistic health consultations. I do have a private practice. So if you don't know me that well, hello. And so that's why I do what I do, to come alongside you in that journey, to help you find the healing that you need as much as I can within my ability. Of course, if it's outside my abilities, I can refer you to other experts in different areas to continue to guide you and support you. Okay, so you're going to jot down your vision, kind of the direction you want to go. And I want to just take a moment here for everyone to just take a nice deep breath and sort of release and slow down for a moment, calming down our central nervous system so that we can really have a calm focus and absorb the information better and just have less stress going forward here. So take a moment, deep breath in, close your eyes in through the nose, and imagine an abdominal breath, like you're filling up a balloon in the abdomen, and then just let it all out. Deep, audible exhale. And there's lots and lots of research on deep breathing, so we'll get to more information on that in one of our later sessions there. What is that? That would be session 4. We'll get more into that, but just do it a couple times. If you guys have on hand like a stress away or aromatherapy or something like that, you can grab that. Do a nice deep breath. And then you can add in, one of my favorite strategies is to actually add a pressure point for stress relief in as you're doing that deep breathing. So I call this the release the tension and set your intention. This is one of my favorite things to recommend that you implement, even when you have a busy day or just a crazy day. You know those days when everything seems to be going wrong, or something comes up that is just really triggering you, whatever it might be. Take 30 seconds and do this. And I have it written out in the PDF, but we're going to walk through it because I want to make sure that you guys have a tool in your tool belt right away to implement during this busy season. Closing the eyes, nice deep breath in, and exhale again. And this time we're going to add a pressure point. There's a pressure point right below the eyebrow bone, like kind of on the eyelid. You can push not too hard, just gently. And then as you're doing that, you're going to be intentional with your thoughts as well. If you don't like that pressure point, some people have different preferences. You can kind of gently pull on the earlobes as well, or maybe massaging the temples. So any of those are great, or try all three. And as you're doing that, continue with the deep breathing. And you're going to be intentional with the mind as well. So you're going to think, I'm going to release the tension either of that day, or maybe it's a situation or a circumstance. I'm going to release that tension, let it go as much as you can. And I'm going to set my intention to move forward with, fill in the blank of what you feel like you need at that time: peace, joy, strength. And for me, I love to bring in different scriptures, like be anxious for nothing, but in everything with prayer and thanksgiving, bring your requests to the Lord. And then the peace of God that passes all comprehension will guard your heart and your mind. You can, implement any of those. There's different types of scriptures that are along those lines as you are doing this. And sometimes I've even, the second part of that passage in Philippians is one of my favorite ones, is, and then if there is anything good, if there's anything right, true, pure, and holy, think about these things, and the God of peace will be with you. So sometimes I utilize that, and I will say something like, Lord, help me to think about what is good and right and true, instead of focusing on the problem, to help me to shift and focus on gratitude, on how can I move forward, focusing on what is good and right and true as much as we are able. And I know that's easier said than done. Some situations can be really big and really difficult. So to just keep taking those deep breaths and move forward the best that you can, with gratitude and peace. Even in those hard moments, we can still choose how we respond, even if it's a very difficult circumstance. Though we might be clenching our jaw as we respond in love to a difficult thing, we can still do it. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, right? Okay. So that's the release and reset strategy, if you will. And then I kind of walk through in the first part of this, how you can, on a regular basis, and you can write this out or put it up somewhere if you want to try to really intentionally walk through these steps of release, refresh, restore, refocus. If you want to do it daily, some people like to do that, or maybe just like once a week when you are having like kind of your rest day, or you're a little bit of time off on the weekend or something, and you really want to just take a little time to refresh. This is a great strategy to use, and you can take, maybe 15 minutes or something, and kind of extend this out a little bit, add in some journaling or prayer or meditation, or even adding in stretching movements can be helpful as well. So I'm going to kind of walk through what that might look like and explain more about each of these steps. So with the release, refresh, restore, refocus. I'm not sure if I should have done all R's, but that's just how it ended up being. Our well-being and momentum towards our goals is very closely connected to what we believe about ourselves and what we believe about kind of like the people around us or our situations and circumstances. So being very intentional about what we believe of ourselves and of the people around us can make a really big impact. So that connects into mindset, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into that when we get into the mindset portion. But I wanted to make sure you guys keep that in mind as we're going through this. Really figuring out, what are you connecting your value and your purpose to can make a big impact on how you are making decisions, how you feel about yourself and people around you, how you respond and interact to other people and in different situations and circumstances. That is often connected to what we tie our value to. So let me see if I can think of a good example. So if we just, for example, if I grew up believing that my value is connected to being able to achieve certain things or check off certain things from a list of expectations, let's say, right, as a kid or something like that. And if my value was tied to that, and for some reason I haven't been able to meet the expectations that I wanted to, for an example, then that might cause me to be more frustrated, more stressed, more reactive. If anyone is asking me, well, how come the dishes aren't done? Or how come, or whatever, fill in the blank, any of those kinds of questions, right? Or in a situation where things are going wrong, that's going to impact the way that I would interact, the way that I would respond. So question that, put down, jot down something if you are taking notes, and maybe come back to that, maybe journal about it later. We'll dig more into it when we get into the emotional and spiritual aspect of our program here with session 5. Okay. One thing that can often make a big impact is envisioning yourself functioning at your absolute best. So as you even maybe begin your day and you're setting your intentions for that day, mentally, emotionally, physically, sometimes we kind of just wake up and we just get swept along with our day and all the things. And we, wake up in the morning and there's 1,000 emails and 10 text messages or whatever, right? Or all these things. And we are often, I guess, driven by just get the things done. Just keep going. Just go, 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 go. But if we can take even a couple minutes in the beginning of our day, even, I've done this while I'm driving to see a client or something. I've done, listen to some relaxing worship music or something. And then thinking about, okay, how can I live and function at my absolute best today? What does the best version of myself look like today? The best that I can be. And you actually think about that and you envision yourself being that, someone full of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness. That's what I think about anyways, right? And that doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. That doesn't mean we're going to do everything amazing, but it sets the bar for our day mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And it sets our focus and our vision and propels us in that direction. Whereas if we wake up in the morning and we're just consumed with overwhelm and there's all these things, like a phone, ding, 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 all these notifications and emails and things to do and problems to solve, right? If that is where our mental and emotional energy is focused when we start our day, then we're going to be more likely to go in the direction of worry, anxiety, fear. You get the idea. That's going to be more of the direction we tend to go. Whereas when we set our mental, emotional, spiritual energy in the direction of, I'm going to focus my day on being full of love, joy, peace, whatever, fill in your blanks of what you want to focus on being, then though there might still be problems to solve and things to do, and there still might be stressful things, we often respond in a different way when we have set that sort of mental and emotional focus differently. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's the first part there. And sometimes it helps to sort of write it down. So one strategy that I saw that I thought was really great and simple and easy is to use either a sticky note or put it as a lock screen on your phone or something like that. Pick 3 words that you want to, what's the word? You want to embody, right? So one example was like, did I live, love, and matter today? Like that was the sort of example for one person. Yours might look differently. Did I, you can phrase it however you want, but try to pick like 3 focuses and then you can put them up somewhere. So it reminds you as you're waking up in your day, maybe it's a sticky note on your mirror when you're getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth and washing your face or whatever, to remind you, I'm going to focus on being this, because these are the 3 main things that I want to embody as a person. That's the direction that I'm going. That's where I'm going to set my mental and emotional energy each day as I begin. Sure, every day can be different levels of our best. I love that. That's great. Every day will be different levels. We are just doing our best, but we are setting, it's like, when we are driving, you set a course, you decide the direction you're going. You may not stay on that course perfectly because maybe there's a construction zone and you have to take a detour or something, right? But you're setting the direction and you're at least going to get there eventually, but there might be things along the way, and that's okay. A lot of times I compare it to like climbing a mountain. If you're hiking or climbing a mountain or something like that, you're setting your intention, you've got your vision, you've got your goal, you've got your purpose, but along the way, it's a journey. There might be, rocks falling down and you have to change your course. There might be loose, soil or something. You might trip or something. There might be cactuses or I don't know. I live in the desert. So there might be scorpions. There might be, whatever. And we have to, adapt and that's okay. But we have a direction that's propelling us. We have set the bar and we're going to get there one way or another, though we might have to shift a little bit. Okay. Then we have our release. So as you're going through release, there's two different ways you can do it. I mentioned earlier the quick version. Take 30 seconds. Like if you're in a crazy stressful day or a really crazy thing came up and happened, you can take 30 seconds, take a bathroom break, or I've done this at a stoplight, and do the release and release your tension and reset your focus quickly with the eyes closed, deep breathing and a pressure point, 30 seconds. That's the quick version to use on a daily basis in the middle of just life and all the things going on with life. And then you can do the longer version when you have more time on like a day off or evenings before bed or something like that, depending on what your schedule looks like. So with the release, you can really think about this as releasing patterns, habits, mindsets, thought patterns, and things that are not serving you well, and intentionally decide you're going to release those. And you can write that down. You can journal about it. You can decide how you want to do it. And, sometimes we have to take a deeper look at things like anxiety and where it's coming from, the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, situations that might be really impacting us negatively, and how can we shift and adapt to the best of our ability. Sometimes it's unhealthy habits too. So you can take a look at that as well and think about what things can you start releasing. It might not be all at once. It might just be little by little, which is why this process is 7 steps, so that we have plenty of time. I encourage you each week of this to pick at least one thing that you're going to work on sort of shifting, a habit, a pattern, whether that's mental, emotional, or physical, that you're going to work on releasing something that's not so healthy and replacing it with a healthier pattern or habit, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I encourage one thing at a time. Some people can do 2 at a time. You have to kind of gauge for yourself what's going to really work for you. Yes, journaling is amazing. I don't have as much time to do it as I like, but I do. Right now with my busy mom life, it's about once a week, which I feel like is a win for a busy life. So, but I used to do it like every day. I have like stacks of journals, so I'll have to go back and look through that one day and make like a memoir or something. Okay. The next one is refresh. So now that you've kind of intentionally focused on releasing the things that are not serving you well, the more unhealthy patterns, habits, etc., you're going to work on refreshing. So this is where you're going to intentionally decide that you're going to shift your mental, physical, and emotional patterns in a healthier direction. It might be baby steps. One example, and this is an example for physical health habits. One lady, she's like, I used to eat a huge thing of ice cream every single night. And I decided that wasn't a very healthy habit. And she's like, what I ended up doing was slowly shifting that habit by transitioning to some melted chocolate with apple slices. And she's like, at first, the apples were pretty much drowning in the chocolate, you know. And then she's like, little by little by little, I shifted to a little bit less chocolate, a little bit less, to the point where she just had a little bit of chocolate drizzled on her apples. And that was her nice evening treat. But it was a lot healthier of an option than a big giant thing of ice cream, right? So you can keep that in mind as you're starting to shift some of your patterns and your habits, and slowly transitioning is perfectly fine. And again, that's why we're spreading out this process. We have plenty of time to start doing that. And if you would like me to help hold you accountable for any certain things that you want to work on, feel free to share it in the chat. You can share it privately. If you click on the little to button, you can say it's just to me if you prefer, or whatever. Or we can all encourage and support each other in this. And then I can provide you a little bit of accountability if you'd like, or you can contact me via email or what have you later on if you'd like. Okay. So then with the refresh, you're intentionally shifting, and I encourage you to write it down if that's something that you find to be helpful. I always find writing things down makes a big difference. If you're someone that's more creative, you can make a nice picture and, put colors and things. I know some people that helps. It's more motivating when it's colorful and fun. So feel free to do that if it's something you would like to do. And you know what I might do? I'm going to have to write that down. For our next session, I'll try and have some printouts for you guys that are more like, you've seen those adult coloring books, where it's more detailed, really pretty. Well, I've seen ones that have like encouragements and affirmations and stuff like that, and then spaces to write things that, you want to work at, spaces to journal. And, so I'll try and get you guys some of those if it's something that you want to use. And they're kind of creative for people that like to do that kind of thing. I'm just going to say coloring. Okay. All right. So you're starting to shift those. You've written down. You can also do it as like an audio memo. Some people will record an audio for themselves. If that's something that you prefer, depends on how you want to do it. And then with the refresh, I encourage you to incorporate in like movement. Sometimes we physically have to release the tension too. And that's a lot of what I do when I see people in person for the massage therapy sessions or the restorative yoga and everything, is sometimes we're holding that tension and that stress and those emotions in our actual joints, muscles, ligaments, and even organ systems. If you want to read more about that, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. I highly recommend that. It's on Audible, so if you prefer to listen to books, you can do that. It's absolutely incredible. It's a way for the body to adapt so that we can sort of store those emotions and stresses and things and not have to, it's not interfering with our daily function. So it's like kind of easier to move forward and function, but eventually we have to address it. Otherwise it's going to domino into inflammation. And for many people, it dominoes into different disease processes it can be in many different areas of the body. So making sure we release that physically, mentally, and emotionally is really, really important. We're going to dive more into that when we get into our session on the physical well-being in session 4. Okay. And then you're going to work on restoring. So this is where you're going to really work on practical strategies you want to use to restore yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically. And that's where I said, bring in, your affirmations, your scripture verses, your prayer, those types of things. And sometimes it's physical well-being as well. So finding ways to nourish your body well, making sure you're getting good nutrients. If you need recommendations on good, mineral and vitamin supplements, I can give recommendations if that's something you need. And sometimes we need to sort of detox the mental and emotional and physical. So if you would like to dive deeper into that, reach out to me. I can give you some guidance and support with that, or set up like a one-on-one session to go through that with you. When we are in our session 4 with our physical well-being, I will touch on some basic principles of sort of detoxing physically, but I won't go super in depth just for time's sake and everything. And I do feel like it's customized to each person because everyone has slightly different nuances and things going on, different habits that you have that are not as healthy, and different tools and strategies that will support you in moving forward in a healthier way. So I like to kind of customize that a little bit. Okay. And then the refocus or reset is choosing to move forward at your very best that you can, and really focusing your mental, physical, and emotional energy on who you want to be, how you want to move forward. There was one book that I read where the author was saying, like, every time before they went to do anything, like have a conversation with someone, have a phone call, went to a meeting, went to work, to sit down at their desk, or like, and basically anything they were doing, they would mentally and emotionally prepare themselves and think, I'm going to be this. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be, whatever it was that they really wanted to embody as they went into their day or their situation or whatever it was they were doing. And I really liked that because, like I said in the beginning, we often just sort of flow through our day at the whim of all the things that are bombarding us with life and work and families and all of the things. And it can help to take like 5 seconds or 10 seconds and just say, okay, I'm going to show up with more love right now. I'm going to show up with more joy. I'm going to show up with more peace. Even though it's not always easy, we can do it. Okay. Um, that is our main portion for today. So thank you guys for joining in. This is our first one. Like I said, I went over the overview of our plan going forward. I'm going to pause the recording so those of you live can ask some questions and I can support you, and then we'll go from there.